Hey, Fitzy here, back at the game, another one. Back at Crusty, I got a whole bunch of mounts reworked, and I'm starting to move forward on the car again. I even got turbo mounted. Stick around. So, in the last video, I installed this rack and pinion, got all that sorted out. I had to cut a bunch of stuff up to make that work. I had to change things. That's in the video before this one. That there was one portion of this car that I felt was something that I was going blind at. I had some idea what I was at, where I had to go, but I couldn't figure it out till I actually did the job, okay? I finally got it done. It's really beat me down. I haven't done much more with the car since, trying to get this organized and straightened away. I picked and poked at a few little things, but I want to move forward on the car. Now, in order to move forward, what I got to do now is get this back in the car. It's been sitting here on the engine hoist now, I say a month. A good month that's been sat there. I want to get this here tore apart. I want to get this back in the car. I got to remake the new engine mount for this side here, figure out something to put over here. I'm going to see if I can save this one here. I'm not too concerned about it. If I got to make two new ones, that's it. But what I'm doing here now is I had this mounted in the car level to the frame rails. I'm going to jack the car up now, get it all situated and everything, and level the car up. But I want to angle the motor down about 5 degrees. I just got to research that, make sure, but I want to set that up that way and then put everything in that way, because I had it in set up level before and it was too much of an angle for the rear end, and I like to lower the back of the transmission down a bit. It's been pointed out by you guys and some of my friends as well. I kind of overlooked it. I've always set up engines by setting them level in the car, but they were small block Chevys. And when you put an intake manifold on a small block Chevy and put a level across it, the engine block is back 5 degrees. Anyway, I'm new to all this LS stuff, see? So, I'm going to go get this jacked up now, get this stripped apart, and get transmission off it more than anything else, and get it ready so I can get it fit in here and size up how everything's going to work. I got to put the alternator back on it, make sure I got no issues down here, base pan clearances, and start figuring out where everything's going to go. So, here's where I'm to. I went and took the car now, jacked it all up, got down 4 stands, leveled it all up so it was all level. And then I turn around and start fitting the engine block back in it again. I removed the transmission off the back of it. The mid plate, all I've been doing here now is cutting off a little bit at a time right here. Along that section right here. I've been cutting off, I have roughly about, I think it's close to 3/4 of an inch taken off it now on both sides and laid down. And I got the motor laid back in the place that it was to before. Over here, I got all my clearances for my alternator. Down here, it's a tight fit. Getting around the alternator there, it just fits right in there, but that's the way I want to have it. Have the motor back as far as I can get it with stock alternator. And I have the motor now 3 degrees laid back on the back side of her. So I got it laid back 3 degrees. That's all I was basically doing, was just removing it from the back here and leaving all this alone up here. So that way I didn't have to fool around with too much of it. And so what I'm going to do here now is I'm going to clean up this mount here. I'm going to put that in place, bolt back on, and I can weld that back in place on the angle that it's got to be on. And then the other side, whew, this is going to be fun. This one here is a bit tangly. I got to deal with the steering column here. I may have to put like 3 pedestals on it. So I don't know, I haven't really thought about it yet what I'm going to do here. But I'm not going to bother with the other one. The other one is fine. I don't mind having odd mounts in it. This one here is going to be built for the steering column. And the other one is just a nice pedestal style one. I like that set up over there and did a tidy job on it, so I'm going to leave it alone. I'm just going to set this up here now so I can actually build a mount off of that. So I'm here now and I have the other mount tack welded in place. I got that back in. I have this set up That's the setup it there now. This is at 3.4 degrees. Down here, it is at 0.4 degrees down here. So I wanted to add that to this up here just to make it just so perfect. Now you're talking about not even a half a degree. But I got that at 3 degrees, basically that's leaning back. I went ahead then, all I did is I laid this clean little plate, laid this back on again and welded around here, so that's done. These are trimmed down again. I took another 1/8 of an inch of them. It looks to be roughly about a full inch. I measured it up that I actually took off the back side of this here to lower the back of it down. Now over here, I played around with a few ideas and I wasn't liking what I was doing. I'm kind of hung up on the pipe idea, okay? So this is what I come up with. I'm going to go off the side of the frame rail up to this and just attach it to the 3/4 of the way back. So when this is going to go in here, this is going to go like so. Just below that there, and that's how that'll be mounted. I think that should be strong, and if not, I'll put a gusset from there to there. But I think when all that's welded up, I think that should be fine. That should be a fine setup like that. That's pretty heavy plate there for a mount. So I'm just going to weld that on there like that, and that'll be my new mount for this side. So I haven't bothered to film any of this because you've seen it all before. I'm just making new mounts and rigging everything up again. I went and turned around, spent the entire evening here now, getting everything done. I had to haul the rack out because I had to set up this one here and weld it in. You can see the way it's set up. It's a tight squeeze. I might put a gusset on the bottom side of that just to expand it over this here. But when it's bolted into the car, it's quarter plate, so I don't know. But I just keeps crossing my mind to put a gusset, a little triangle gusset in here, going this way, and that'll be fine. That'll be perfect. Got lots of clearance on the on the steering shaft. I'm tired here now, it's late. I got everything grinded off. I remounted. Got the mid plate all remounted and angles changed on it. It's now 3 degrees down. All the mounts are done. The mid plate is all cut. I got all that done. So what I want to do now, I'm putting this in place. So the last thing I got to do is the transmission. And I don't think I'm going to get that done tonight because I am beat here now. So I'm going to get this motor and transmission in this and call it a night. Well, I managed to get this in the car the other night. Put up a fight. I was tired. Things weren't going my way. You know, typical things when you're at something too long. But I got it in there. I got it all bolted up. And everything seems to be working best kind. You can see now the alternator. The clearances on the alternators. One of the reasons why I can't move the motor back. Everybody keeps talking about, to me, relocating the alternator, putting it elsewhere, and I can move that motor back a mile. I'm happy with the motor right where it's at, okay? I'm not too concerned. A lot of research I'm doing now is great. Weight transfer is a wonderful thing, but with today's technology, with the horsepower that, you know, you're putting out in some of these cars, with suspension technology, you know, tire technology, I've seen a lot of stock-bodied, stock location cars out there with 800-900 horsepower that are going to pull the wheels, okay? So, you know, I'm not too concerned about moving this motor back. It's back far enough for me. There's the center line of the wheel about right here somewhere. Right here, going through here. So, you know, I'm pretty well down through number 1 here. I'll be a little bit behind. I'm almost in the middle of 2 is what I am. But that's plenty for me, the way it's done. I got lots more stuff I got to go underneath the hood here. But anyway, I got the motor and transmission bolted in place. I'm totally amazed with that 3 degrees, okay? It's just 3 degrees of drop in the motor, okay, in the back side of it. Right here on both sides, because this is still the original mount over here. All I did is I just cut the top off it and pivoted it. So when I leaned this back 3 degrees, it was pivoted from here. So the front came up and the back went down. So this never changed, okay? It's just the plating system just angled a small bit and I re-welded it back on. I lowered this, I ended up cutting a full inch off the mid plate. Lowered that down. But what is wild is this transmission back here, okay? This here, okay, was up almost a full inch into the rail. I measured there a minute ago, it's almost 3 inches at the tail shaft here that the transmission has dropped, which is amazing. That's more than enough now for me to make this work good, okay? Now this is a jack, this is low now because I got it up on stands, but when that comes up, that drive shaft should be pretty well in line there then. So I'm pleased with that, but this transmission cross member now will not work, okay? the way it works. I can cut it up and do everything with it, but I got a bunch of scrap pipe there now. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to bend up a little pipe, make a nice little cross member, cut the brackets and everything off of this here, and weld them on a new one. I just need to get it so that the mounting and everything's the same. I'm going to play around with it a bit and just make a new cross member so I can get this installed, and then the motor and transmission will be mounted back in the car again. So I got a straight piece of pipe here, a little short piece. Playing around with it here now. I'm not going to get too carried away with figuring out measurements, stuff like that. I'm just going to line it up here. I'm going to put a bit of a bend here and a bit of a bend here, and I'm going to see if I can bend the middle after. I know, because I know for a fact if I bend the middle first, I'm not going to be able to bend either end because it's not going to fit in the bender properly. So this is just me playing around here now, having a bit of fun. If it don't work, it don't work. I'm just going to turn around and make a couple of quick bends here now and see if I can get this here bent and that side there bent, and then see if I can bend the middle. Sometimes I get ahead of myself and get carried away when I get involved in something. Look, new transmission cross member. Bent up a piece of pipe, just bent it in the bender, and it was tricky trying to get both bends the same. Bend this one and then bend this one. I was thinking Bert and Ernie with the licorice on Sesame Street when I was a kid. A little bit more on this side. Oh, now it needs a little bit more on this side. Now it needs a little bit more on this side. But anyway, I got it straightened away. I'm pleased with it, the way it's all done. There's the old one there. I cut the bracket off it. I'm using my I-beam, square everything up, and I used a magnet square that I put here. It's there laid on the bench somewhere. Well, it's gone. I think I'll put it back in the box. But I had a square put here to have this level. Now I just got to attach these on the end of it. And I'm thinking I'm just going to slot these on the end of it here, just slide these inside of it. So it's in the middle of it. Now I can just weld it on the outside, and then that'll be it. And then I'll just make up two little tabs for it to rest on. I haven't decided that yet, but I figured I'd go this far and I'd show you how far I've gone with it. And I forgot to walk you through all that. But yeah, I had a straight one there and it's dropped down now, so that should work fine for what I'm trying to put together here. Sometimes I get in the zone and I get carried away with stuff. I don't know what got into my head today. Look at the mounting setup I got on this. Could I make it any more complicated or what? I was having fun with it. That's the main thing. I turn around now, I'm going to make a couple of little tabs. This fits in between it. One thing I forgot is where I put the motor at 3 degrees. I put this at 0, so I had to change this again. So it's always something. These end pieces, I use my bench, or this I-beam here, to square all that up, and level that up, and level this up, and clamped it to that, and had that clamped to this over here, and had that jig made up so that was bolted on there, or clamped on there. That's how I got all that measured up. And I used measurements on the I-beam that I marked out. That was the distance apart and stuff like that. So that's how I got all them square. I just got in the zone. Oh, and a few have talked about it before. This pipe here, I haven't got it capped on the ends. I don't intend to cap it on the ends so I can paint it. I got 2 holes drilled in the bottom for drainage. But yeah, that's the transmission mount. So now I got to go over, and I already test fit it, and it works best kind. That's how I figured out I was off on this part here. So I'm going to make a couple of mounting tabs for this now that I can mount on the side of her, and get this here bolted in, and that way the motor and transmission is done again. So I went ahead again, got that in, got it done, okay? You see how pretty it up is? I made it a bit different this time. I just got 4 little tabs made, and they're welded to the frame there, and nuts and bolts went on it, and I got it so it bolts up through. I'm going to replace them bolts. I got large holes here. I'm going to put like a 5/8 bolt there. They're only 9/16 there now. I like to have them a bit heavier. But that's mounted in, and you can see the little tab there. Another one over here. I was fooling around with the idea of having them underneath the bottom side and resting on it, and it'll be a nightmare to get out. So I overthought this and overdid it, but this here will work out perfect. So this all set up and bolted in. Now, a few other things I got to do. Next on the list, I got to do drive shaft safety loop, which got to be 4 to 6 inches behind the center line of the U-joint in the front. So I got to put a drive shaft safety loop here. The reason why I want to put that in there is because I want to, what I usually do is I mount a shifter bracket off it. Another piece of plate that comes off it, and that's got stands going down to the loop itself. It also helps the yoke, if it explodes, it doesn't come up through the floor at you. This plating system, and then you got something solid to bolt the shifter to. I'm not one for shifters just bolted to a tin floor. I see these guys with shifters in cars and you move them around and they're very shaky, and I like some very firm in the car. So I got to make up something like that. But the big thing on this here now, I'm sizing this up, and I'm getting to the point now where I can take the body off the car. Because a lot of what I need to do, I need to go back here, I need to do the shock mounts, I need to do the anti-sway bar setup back there. I got them there, but I don't need the body on for that. I don't need the body on for this roll bar to put behind the seat, and the one that goes behind here, and the ones that go down this way. Same with the seat mount and the door bar, all that stuff there I can do with the body off. I like to do the drive shaft safety loop and have that done, because I got to take the motor transmission out of it anyway, and that way I can have all that figured out and know where the shifter's got to go. But the biggest thing that I'm at that I got to figure out is the mount for the turbo, okay, which goes about right here somewhere. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to bolt all the front back on this car again and get it set up so that it's ready to figure out where the turbo's going, where everything's going to flow to and whatnot. Things have changed now because I lowered the back of the motor down. So I don't know what room I got here, if I got more room, if it's going to interfere with something or whatever, because with them headers that I got that come up and forward, I got to size all that up. So I'm going to go ahead now and bolt the entire front back on this car again now and start figuring out the turbo mount. So last time you see me working on this, I bolted the front and everything back on, and I have to put the intake on it, headers, and the head's laid all in place again, because I'm going to start working on this again. It's been close to 2 weeks since I've been at anything other than this, okay? I never recorded nothing on this. I don't intend to. The biggest thing, I want to get this job done and gone. That's the reason why you haven't seen a video from me. But I'll just give you a quick rundown. I had to put a crazy cage in this. It was a kit. Most of it was a kit. Some of it I had to make, and I had to get it done. I just buried my head into it. Had to mount a seat in it, make a seat mounts. I had to do some other changes to the car here and there, but I got it done. Roll cages painted, it all put together. All I got left now is to get the glass put back in this, and then she's out the door. So I figured I'd just let you know where I was to, and a few of you have asked about this car. I wasn't getting into it. This is tangly. I'm not a young man anymore. I'm crawling around this here, trying to do video on it all. It's just too much, and I'm pretty well 2 full weeks at this here, steady, every time in the daytime, and when I'm finished at the end of the day, I'm not in the mood to be at anything else, okay? I'm not a young man anymore. Crawling around all this stuff here takes the good out of a guy. But I got it done, and I figured I'd just show you. It's a cage designed, it's called like a funny car cage, and it's designed so he can go faster. And that's his whole goal to car, so. But that's it. It's, I don't know if I ever talked about it. It's, I think, an 86 Mustang. The taillights were changed, I think, which is she's the 4 Eyes Mustang, right? And, you know, I done this hood a number of years ago. It was a 4-inch cowl. I made it, I added another 5 inches to it, so that's 9 inches across there. It's got a big block Ford in it with like 42 nitrous kits on top of it. It's nuts. It's a extremely crazy car, big tire car, ladder bar car. Still got stock front suspension and floors, firewall, all that type of stuff. It's only a back half car. But, you know, it's got fiberglass trunk lid, fiberglass doors, steel fenders, fiberglass hood. So I figured I'd just give you a quick little walk around on this. A few of you asked questions on it. Yeah, it's got to shoot. Goes fast enough. And just so to give you a fill in what I've been at and how come I haven't been putting out any videos, I want to get back at this now. So the plan is here now. I'm sizing up things I got to get done to the chassis. And one of the things I got to do is I got to mount the turbo, okay? I got to do some modifications to the headers. This header sticks out too far. But the first thing I got to do is I got to figure out where I'm going to mount the turbo. I don't know if I ever went over any of this. This is the turbo I'm using. It's a VS Racing 7875 Gen 2 turbo. It's a nice and big one for this one. And I'm going to be mounting that in the front. So I got this here. It's a T4 flange on it. I got to get this here now mounted on the front of it, because this got 4 bolt holes or 8 bolt holes in it. These 4 here for the turbo, and then these 2 outside ones are for whatever, probably for like a T6 flange as well. But I'm going to turn around and use these as mounting points. I'm going to mount this, find some way to mount this on the car, because I'm going to build everything off of this. And that way I can actually bolt this to the mounting bracket. And I have some sort of an idea. I've been playing around with ideas of mounting where I was going to mount it to, and I want to mount it up here in this corner somewhere. So I got to figure out where I was going to do. What I'm going to do here now is I'm going to take the engine hoist. I already got a chain rigged up on this, and I'm going to hang this in place so I can actually size up where that's going to go. And there you have a nice little setup. All I got done is I got the chain bolted on in a couple of locations on the turbo, on the hot side, and I just got it hung up there, and then I rotated it around. I got this let loose so I can rotate it a small bit where I want to. I've been playing around with a lot of things here. I haven't got a lot of choices. It's a small car, okay? Few issues I got going on here is I can't mount it on the back side. There's not enough hood clearance, and the way the headers are designed, everything comes forward. I can't mount it in the middle because there's absolutely no room. We got the grille, the bumpers, the radiator, and then I got all the engine components because this is a street car, so I'm going to want water pumps and all that type of stuff. A lot of fellas like them in the middle. Really don't matter to me. I wanted it up high, close to where the headlight is too. I can take the headlight out if I want to get fresh air in at it. I would like to lower it a bit. The problem I'm running into, as you can see I got the tire turned. I'm running into an issue with clearances down here on this corner here. I got roughly, when I set this up there, I got roughly an inch there now at full lock when the wheel's fully turned. Like, you know, I won't be hard braking turning that way. And this is ride height here now, the way I get this set up. So I figure with the turbo set upwards too, it'll be fine going straight down the track and whatever. Turning on the parking lots and whatnot shouldn't be an issue. It's a tight quarters. I can't rotate this back this way anymore. It runs into an issue of, what you're saying. I got it on an angle there. And you can see the issue you're up against. My idea is to have this mounted somehow like so, like that, and then I got clearances there. I also got clearances over the top of this bar here for the exhaust to go back through, down and under the car. I want it up as high as I can get it, so it's not sticking out of the hood. It's going to go down a small bit, as you can see. It's a little bit high, but I think when I set this up and rotates it, it's below it then, see? But I'll get that, I'll lower that down a small bit and get it so I got hood clearances. But that's roughly the idea of where I got to put this to. I got to have it mounted on a bit of an angle in order for it to work. The cold side, that's just a couple of 90 degrees. That'll just go straight down through there and out through this hole here and into the intercooler. So that'll be that side figured out. My oil lines still go down underneath to my drain. My drain is on this side of the pans, already one in it. My drain and my oil line, I just got to figure out some way that I can route that to the engine without crossing over anything too hot. So that's not an issue. Just playing around with it here. Trying to figure out. My whole idea is to mount it off the roll bar here. Run 2 tabs coming off the roll bar going down, so that this plating system here actually bolts into the car, and that way when I put the exhaust on, I'll put the exhaust on, it'll bolt on, then the turbo will bolt to this, and it'll be its own unit. A lot of guys mount them off the oil line. You can do that, but I have this plating system here now with the 4 extra bolts in it. I'm going to take advantage of it and use them. So I'm going to go ahead now and take this off and size up a couple of brackets that I can put on there, that I can mount tabs off of, that I can weld to the cross member here. I got to figure out, I got the oil line to deal with because the plating system comes out, so I'm going to have to notch the plating system and then notch the bracket so that it fits on there. And I got to leave room that I can actually make my 2 downpipes. My Y that goes into that plating system will also be able to weld in place. So let's get this started on this one. So here's what I'm up against. You can see the mounting points. These 4 here, the turbo is going to bolt to this one here. And these 4 here, I'm going to have it so that they bolt to the car. Now, the issue I got over here, the oil line comes down here and it's close to here. When you tip this back, you can see how close that is for a line. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to notch this around here. Just cut a notch in it, just so that I can actually have clearance to put a line up through there to tighten up that. And my whole plan is to use simple angle iron, okay? I'm just going to take this here, mount this like so, and have it so that it fits in there, drill holes in it. And then over here, I'm going to mount another one this way, and then cut a notch in it so that it clears for the line. And that way I got 2 points that'll actually be able to weld to the chassis around the car. I can get really fancy using square stock and drill it out and use tubing and plating system. And I want to be able to have this so this bolts on. Okay, I want to be able to bolt this onto the car, and when I drop it in the car, put it in place, bolt it on, and then that way the turbo will actually bolt to this here. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead now. I'm going to notch this out, and I'm going to start making up 2 little brackets here that'll actually bolt onto this here. So here's where I'm to. I notched out that piece there. Okay, I got that all notched out for clearances. And then I remember I was talking about I was going to use this angle iron. The more I thought about it, I just found it was a bit thin, and this was going to interfere with the bolts that I have. I have a metric bolt, and I got a large head on. I got a 17mm top on it, right? So there's going to be an issue with fitting this down through here and tightening it up. So I started thinking about it. I had this old scrap piece of 3/16 angle iron. So I went and cut off 2 slabs of it, off of that, made up 2 little brackets, and drill holes in them. And that's so I can bolt it on. And I cut the back end of it off because I don't need nothing back here. I just need something to weld to out here on this end of it here. And I can weld on, and I clearance the bolts so that these bolts here passes by it. And the exhaust pipe will be coming off from here, the merge that'll come into this here. And I got enough here to weld to on both sides. So that there should be fine there. And sizing up some issues that I may have with it is I'm going to have to make this in a 2-piece unit. This piece here will slide down through, because this will mount here somehow, and I'll have that so that bolts on, it goes down underneath the car, and then I'll have a flange down there that the 2 exhaust pipes will mount to, so that way when I come to take it apart, like, you got to be thinking, like, you know, I can weld this all on and weld it all, and then say, how the hell is this going to come apart? So you got to build it to take it apart. So what I'm going to do now is I got to figure out some way to, some brackets now, they're going to run from this to the frame rail. I'm going to bolt this back on the turbo. And I'm going to hang the turbo in place again and start seeing what I can scab up in the way of steel that I can weld to this, so that I can go over to the frame rail. So here's what I come up with. I got the brackets down there. You can see them there mounted on the bottom down there. 1 tab is touching the frame rail over there. You see it, they're tapping it. What I'm going to do here now, I'm playing around with it. I got an idea. I want this roughly about right here. That's where I want it. Okay, and it gives me enough room. I'm going to cut a few more pieces of this 3/16 out. I'm going to run a flat tab from there to there, and same with a little short one right there. And then I'll triangulate it back through the rails down to the chassis itself with a bit of probably round stock or something, so just to make it look nicer. So I got an idea what I got to do there now. So I'm going to cut off another piece of that angle iron now, cut a 3/16 strip off, and position that there, get an idea where it's going to do so I can tack weld it on there. And I'd like to be able to weld this together down these brackets and be able to dress this bracket up before I actually weld it on the car. So it's going to be tricky, but I'll play around with it there now and I'll get that straightened up. So all I did is just marked it off as about 1 inch there, so I got it marked off there and put a chalk line on it now and going to cut that out of that. Some people are probably saying, well, why don't you just go out and buy yourself a piece of 3/16? Why do you do that when you got lots of this kicking around? I got a lot of this old angle iron. It used to come in a racking system. I think hydraulic hoists came with them. And I got picked up in a whole bunch of it years ago, so I have a bunch of it still left. So I use it for everything. And I don't use it for the angle iron. I just use it for the plating system. It works out best kind. Use what you got. So here's what I got done. I went and tack welded it onto the bar temporarily. I wanted to get this set up so it was, I wouldn't say solid now, but it stopped rolling around. I wanted to make sure that it clear here, okay, and then it clear here, just barely clears that straight across on the top of the fenders. Now the hood comes up a small bit. I wanted to make sure that it cleared there, right? And it looked good going down through here, that I can actually take a pipe and go straight down on a 90 with it. This here can still rotate. That's fine. So what I got to do now is I'm going to make a piece to go from here to here, and I'll tack weld it on there, and I'll fit it to that there, and I'll take them brackets off, weld them all up, dress them. Then I can come over here and weld them onto the car itself. I'll tack weld them on, remove the turbo, and then weld them right up solid, and then put a couple of braces down to them. So I got them tack welded in place. There's my two brackets. I'm going to take these off now and weld them up solid, grind them and dress them and have them finished on both sides. Because these here, I know they may move a small bit, but they're pretty well close to where I want them. And that way then the angle is all dressed. And probably what I end up doing is I'll run a brace probably from here somewhere, coming down to the bar here, from here somewhere coming down on the bar there. Just have it so I can get the wrench on it. But first things first is I'll get these all welded and grind up. There I got them all grinded up, welded up and grinded up. Now you're looking at them and you said, Tony, why don't you just take a flat piece and bend it? Yeah, I could have done that, but that was overthinking it. I wasn't sure how this was going to mount. This could have came down on an angle and whatever, and just so happens it just went that way. So, you know, if I had to think about it a bit longer and make up templates, I probably could have got it that way, but hey, this is just as good. I'm going to bolt them on the turbo now and fit that in place so I can get them welded on. Well now, that's another piece of the puzzle figured out. I want to put some bracing on it. I'm not quite sure. I got big heavy steel rod there. but I think it's a little bit too much. I'm trying to find some smaller diameter rab. I don't know if I'm going to run from here down to the bottom or just come to the bottom of the pipe here, just triangulate this area here, because it is solid, okay? It's a pretty solid unit. It just vibrates a small bit, and I figured the problem I got is this side here where the oil line is to. I can't put no bracing on the outside, which I would like to do. I can do it over here, but I can't do it over here, and I'm trying to make both sides look the same. I'm kind of hung up on symmetrics when it comes to bracketry, so I'm going to leave that alone for now until I figures it out, and I takes it apart and sizes everything up. But like, I got clearances down here for the pipe to go down underneath. I got clearances here, doesn't rub. All right, it goes out to the front there. I got clearances here for the hood. See, that passes right over the top of that there, so there's no issues there. And then down here on the tire, I got clearances here. And put my hand in between there, so that's good there, right? Some of you are probably looking at this header wondering, you know, what's going on here. I got to shorten this header. I got to knock about 2 inches out of it, bring it back this flange back to here. I'm not getting into that yet. I wanted to get this mounted. This here can only really go in one position, okay? I can't turn around and move it around and put it in a lot of places on this car, for the simple fact that one of the big things is that I sit there, so I want it on this side of the car. If I put it over here, that's just more weight on this side of the car for me, okay? So I'm trying to distribute the weight around on the car a bit as best I can. So mounting it up here in the front corner is good. Like, and I got no room down there to mount it, or like, you know, it'd be nice to get it behind the wheel and mount it back there, but you know, it just gets into a butchery of everything, and I need to find a way for the exhaust to clear. So this will just go out and go over the top here and go down through there. That's all that's going to do. And I put no fender exits or nothing on this here, like coming out through a hole in the fender. This is going down old school underneath the car like it would. So anyway, and you can look in through there, and you can see I can get pretty good fresh air. I'll probably make a venting system or something that'll go in the pot. That'll just deflect the air to go up to it. Something I could just snap in place when it takes the headlight out of it, because the headlight is only mounted with a little spring that mounts down here. Can barely see it. You can't even see it now at all. Got the light there. Let me see a hook down there. See this hook right here where my finger's to? Where am I to? There we go. Yeah, that hook there. There we go. There better. That hook there. Spring is on that, so it's a matter of hooking that, take the headlight out of it. But I'm pleased with that. I'm slowly moving forward on it. I want to get back at some other stuff here now. That Mustang put me behind, so I'm going to end this one here. And because I got a few things done on this now, I want to move forward on this. So anyway, I hope the tips are good. And until next time. I want to thank you guys for watching. Don't forget, hit like and share. And if you're not subscribed to the channel, hit subscribe down the bottom of the page. If you want to donate to the channel, down below there's a button, Super Thanks button. If you want to click on that, it'll take you through the motions of making donations to the channel. We greatly appreciate it. We also got merchandise. Hop over to Fitzy'sFabrications.com and check out our merchandise. We have hoodies, sweaters, t-shirts, and stickers. Lots to choose from. Thanks for watching. Look, our wind wheel. Turbo. Woo! You know they gotta make turbo sounds, right? Woo!